Calculus 3 and linear algebra as part of the joint dual degree program, then once they did both of those courses and they were in the joint dual degree program, then they will get credit for linear algebra and vector analysis.
Now, we have it now.
Now you have it.
Vector analysis.
Okay. So what is the case is that those special arrangements only happen and exist because of the joint dual degree program. Another thing is, many students who take classes at community colleges, their credits do not transfer, especially engineering courses. But because of the alignment of the curriculum with LaGuardia, those courses, for the most part, will transfer in. Except civil has a little bit of things to work out, but for the most part. So what we do have is that when you're planning to come across the city college, you can come across in two ways. One is called a permit. We prefer that you take the class here because if they're offering the class here and it's equivalent to our courses at City College are closed up very fast. We have too many students and too many students who want to get into the program. So what is the case is that we really need you to be able to do most of the courses here so that when you come across, it will be an easier transition. So we don't call you transfer students if you're part of the joint dual degree program. You still have to fill out an application and all of that, but and you still have to meet the requirements to get into the Grove School of Engineering, but it's a transition because you're already one of our students, just you're attending LaGuardia. So what is the case is that you can come across on a permit if one of your courses are not being offered a particular semester and you really do need it, and it's a course that you have here at LaGuardia. So sometimes a foreign student at LaGuardia may have 1 or 2 classes remaining in his or her last semester, and they still want to be full-time, and then it may be possible to take some courses at City College. But in general, sometimes courses are only offered once a year, and maybe the course that you need to graduate may not be offered at LaGuardia, and you may want to ask for a what? Permit to take the course at City College. That's possible, but we don't have many students from LaGuardia doing that. In fact, we have a partnership with Hostos and a partnership with LaGuardia. Hostos students, because they're located 15 minutes or so away from City College, they take almost all of their engineering courses at City College. So they're taking it with City College's professors, the same curriculum, with the City College's students in their class. However, LaGuardia students somehow still do better. I think it's because they have already vetted the curriculum, meaning that you only could come into the program after you graduate from LaGuardia, and you already did well in your LaGuardia curriculum, which is almost exactly the same as City College's. So what happens is that you finish a lot of the math and the sciences and the engineering courses, and then you are ready to take courses that are in your major itself. And sometimes, even though engineering is difficult, the math and the sciences and the introductory courses are the courses which are even more difficult. So at City College, this year we have our 10th Nobel Prize winner. So most public schools don't have any, but City College of New York has 10 Nobel Prize winners. So this year, the person that won it, he won it for medicine and physiology. He was able to track the GPS system in the brain, and he's now at Cambridge or London University in England, but he graduated with his bachelor's from City College. So our school is very prestigious. And what is the case is that even though you're taking most of the curriculum here at LaGuardia, when you come into City College, it's still going to be tough. So even though we said LaGuardia students are doing well, because what happens is, like, let's say Hostos's joint students, they come in and take the courses, let's say in statics or mechanics of deformable bodies in the civil engineering curriculum. And as soon as they taste it and see how difficult it is, what do?
Go back.
Not go back to Hostos because they don't have the courses they had Hostos. They drop out of the engineering field because they tried 1 time, 2 times, and they realize that they're not going to make it. Same thing with chemical engineering. We've had very bright students, 3.8, 3.9, some Hostos, and as soon as they sit into the classes with the other chemical engineering students who are like very highly specialized, they drop out. Mechanical engineering and electrical engineering is a little bit different. A lot of the population is like returning adults, transfer students, so they feel a little more familial in terms of like it's a family atmosphere, and even if they are not doing as well, they still stay in the program. But why we said that LaGuardia students do well is because they already took those first 2 years. They haven't seen any City College's courses as yet, and they've already finished a lot of the math and the sciences, which are usually the killers at City College. So just to give you a sense of the types of students that can be in your class, if you were starting off as a freshman, we have like 40% who are honors students. They're coming in with like 1,500 out of 1,600 on the SATs, things like that. We have kids who have gotten into Columbia University, Yale, but they choose to come to City College to take the Sophie Davis School of Medicine. So they are taking similar classes with engineering students. Some of the courses, so in your class might have students like that. In the recent years, we have had 2 students that won the Rhodes Fellowship. Who knows what the Rhodes Fellowship is? Okay, the President Clinton and those people, they won the Rhodes Fellowship to go to England to study. That's when you're like the very best in the United States and you go abroad to England to do your graduate work. So 2 of our students in chemistry won that. So in your classes, just one second, in your classes could have students that are of that caliber. But we also have students that are coming from the community colleges, such as Dane Christie. He came from Hostos as a joint dual degree student, and last year he won a $120,000 scholarship, the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship. You're aware of it, right? That fellowship is only given to a handful of people, and he was a joint dual degree program student from Hostos. He came into chemical engineering. He was playing for the Toronto Blue Jays. I think he was able to be on that baseball team, but then he didn't go find that, and he came back to school. He went to Hostos. He graduated from Hostos, and he graduated from City College. Guess what school he's doing his PhD at? Who wants to guess? Well, City College is good too for PhD. We have some City College graduates in the room who are your professors now. He is doing his PhD at Princeton University. So from LaGuardia, what are your possibilities after you finish City College?
Princeton.
Princeton, where else? Harvard, Cornell, Columbia, the whole 9 yards. So don't think that City College is a public school and you might not get such a good education. The education there is the same quality as Columbia, the same quality as MIT. So I know some of you all, especially the ones that are doing really, really well in the joint dual degree program, sometimes say, you know what, I have a 3.9, Columbia wants me, Polytechnic wants me, and maybe I would choose there instead of going to City College. You need to think seriously and say, well, you know what, City College produced excellent graduates, those Nobel Prize winners, those Rhodes Fellows, 40% of the class are honors. Your professors came from City College with their PhDs, because we go all the way up to PhDs. Consider City College, because there are scholarships. We have the Grove Scholarship and the Cayley Scholarship, but we have other scholarships that are available. But what is very unique that we don't have, and what LaGuardia has here for you, is a lot of support. So when you're taking a class at LaGuardia, sometimes the teachers are very flexible. Sometimes the teachers are very forgiving. Sometimes they adjust. But when you're at City College, if you don't know the work, they keep going on. Because remember what I told you, a percentage of the class are honors type. So if you're teaching a class and you're a lousy teacher, but 40% of the class are getting A's because they're bright all the time, they're not working 40, 50 hours a week like some of you all. They don't have to commute 2 hours or so like some of you all would have to. Some of them live in the dorms. Some of them are getting full scholarships. And some of them are not working, or they don't have to go home and take care of their siblings, their baby brother and their baby sister, or their grandmother or their grandfather. Some of you all may have to do that. So you have to be able to make the adjustment. One of the good things about the joint dual degree program is that you're able to do your first 2 years here, and even though the academics are very rigorous, the support system that you have at LaGuardia is very what? It's the best, right? So you had those 2 years to kind of like have an excellent education, but also have a wonderful support base. But when you come to City College, even though you will have an excellent education, you will have some support base, but the main support base that you'll be looking at, you will have tutoring in my area. We have free tutoring. You will have people that you could come to and talk to, like Ms. Gonzalez or myself. And you will have an advisor from your department that works for our area that you can go to for academic information and for transfer credits and for that whole 9 yards of things. But their personalities at City College may not be the exact same personalities that you are accustomed with. So a lot of it you're going to have to be self-reliant, because in the classes there are times you're going to doubt yourself and say, my goodness, am I really supposed to be in this major? I had a 3.9 at LaGuardia, but then I went to City College, and even though I was in Phi Theta Kappa, now I'm what? 1.5 GPA at City College. It's called GPA shock. So hopefully because you're in this program, you're not going to have that GPA shock. Like Louis Fuenmayor, I think he's from LaGuardia, and he may be working with the math department, or some other entity in LaGuardia still. He graduated as a civil engineer and he did well. We were able to give him a NACME scholarship, which is a scholarship for minority students. We have had other wonderful students from your school that went to this school and then they came to our school and they made our community so much better, because sometimes students are very self-interested at City College. They only help you if they are getting something out of it. LaGuardia, when you have your peers, they work together with you, they support you, they guide you. So sometimes you go into an environment and someone only wants you to join their study group if what? If you can help them, not if they can help you. So you have to be prepared for that type of environment. It is not the City College of the past. We have had students who transferred in the past, maybe like about 10 years ago, and then he left and he came back and he said within 6 years it has changed so much. He said the kids are now very selfish. And I said, what do you mean? He told me this like 3 or 4 years ago. He says, when I left, the kids were willing to help each other. When he came back to college to finish up his degree, because he's an adult, he may be about 40 years old, he says, my goodness, no one wants to help. So sometimes you're going to face that. So some of the sacrifices that you will have to make when you come to City College are what? One, what? If you're working 40 hours a week, what's going to have to happen?
Just sleep.
Just what?
Less sleep.
Less sleep?
More work, less sleep.
You may have to try to get a scholarship, or you might have to get a loan, a baby loan, or you might have to what? Depend on your parents, or work in the summer, like my friends who used to attend LaGuardia, they used to work in the summers, driving taxis, make enough money for the whole year, don't work during the year. So we have had people that we know of that have done it. Students, friends, relatives. I'm just saying in general, you're going to have to what? Reduce your workload. Secondly, if you're taking 18 credits at LaGuardia, I know you all have 2 sessions where you can take extra credits. We don't have that at City College. So you might be tempted to take all 18 credits in one semester. What should you be doing, especially in your first semester at City College? Should you be taking 18 credits? Maybe 12 or 13 credits. Don't try to overkill yourself. You have to give yourself a chance. If you don't give yourself a chance and you want to rush, you're going to be in problems. Even the freshmen who are coming from Stuyvesant, Bronx High School of Science, where they are really, really, really brilliant, and they want to take 18 credits, they mess up. And then if you mess up Calculus 1, could you go to Calculus 2 the next semester? So you're in higher courses now when you come across, but if you mess up a prerequisite, you cannot go to the next level. And remember I told you all that our education is the same as Columbia and MIT? Why can I say that and not be ashamed of it? Because all schools that are engineering have to be what? ABET accredited. So LaGuardia is ABET, not ABET accredited, but LaGuardia is Middle States accredited and New York State Department of Education accredited. Our school is Middle States accredited and New York State Department of Education accredited. So all these good schools like LaGuardia City College, we are all accredited. But beyond that, engineering has to be accredited by the engineering body. And right now, last 6 years, all of our undergraduate programs, because we only go up for accreditation for undergraduate programs, all of them are accredited. So any program that you transfer or transition into when you come to City College is a program that is of the same academic level, quality and class as an education from Columbia or from MIT. So could you imagine you're getting your last 2 years there, 2 to 3 years there, and you're getting the same quality of education and you're not coming out with much debt. The other thing is that our classes are very what? Diverse. Besides the tuition being very reasonable, some of you all will get financial aid, right? And financial aid means you might be coming to school for free. So if you don't give yourself a chance by taking less classes, by stopping doing as much work as you can, by not depending on your family, by telling, some people say, well, you know, I have to help out my family. I have to go home and babysit. I have to go home and take care of my relatives. If you don't speak to them and tell them about this sacrifice that you have to make for the next 2 years, you may not make it. So if you can make those sacrifices and graduate, the possibilities are endless for you. As I said, Dame Christie now is at Princeton. As I said, Louis Fouyen-Mayor has graduated in the difficult discipline of civil engineering at City College, and he's from LaGuardia. Many students, if they make the right choices, will do well. And engineering is a profitable field, especially civil engineering, because there's a lot of jobs in the city, especially in construction management. If you're coming in into the mechanical engineering program, the academics may not be as having those gatekeeper courses that kind of like are so rigorous, it's very hard to pass through. A valedictorian at City College, he was one of my students. His father came to visit me. His father graduated with his master's from City College. And he came by when his son was going to come to City College and say, tell me about the program, should I come to City College? So his son came. His son graduated as a valedictorian. His name is Atin Saha. And then his sister came. And his sister was in the honors program, meaning she had like 14 or 15 out of 1,600 on the SATs, 90-something average from a good school. And when she was taking statics, it was all hell. So he could not believe, because he's doing his doctorate degree, not in engineering, he switched fields. He graduated as a biomedical engineer, but he's doing his medical degree, MD degree, at Duke University, which is an Ivy League. He says, I can't believe that my sister is having this much of problems, because she's so bright. She's brighter than I am. But some programs at City College are very rigorous. So what is the case is that if you could make the necessary sacrifices while you're here, when you come to City College and you decide to say, well, you know what, I made those decisions to make the sacrifices. I'm not going to work 40 hours a week. I'm only going to work, what, 10 to 20 hours a week. I'm going to ask my parents or my brothers or sisters to support me, to give me a little help while I'm in school. I may take a small baby loan. What else can you do? I may ask someone else to take care of my siblings in the meantime so I can study. We have the support base and everything. We have student clubs and organizations that help each other. We have professional conferences and stuff like that, and students get internships and jobs. Then the possibilities are endless for you. And then you could kind of give back to your family when you become a little more what? Wealthier. Because there's a lot of what? Social mobility is called what? When you get a good job, but in order to get that social mobility, you have to have educational mobility, and that means if you could move from the associate degree to the bachelor's degree and do well there, your ability to earn more money, your ability to help your family and your community is going to get greater. So I hope that each and every one of you all will come to City College, will make the necessary sacrifices. If you're transitioning into City College for next semester, we will have an orientation, and Ms. Jasmine Gonzalez is going to speak to you all about that. That when you do come for that orientation, we want you to be prepared. Even though your professor is going to send us some information about you, you should always walk with an updated copy of your what? Transcript. Because Your professors can only do so much, but if you walk with it, it's going to be very helpful and valuable. If you took any courses from another school, let's suppose you came from Columbia University, not Columbia University in New York, a Columbian University from Columbia, right? And you got transfer credits here at LaGuardia, it does not necessarily mean that you will get the credits when you come to City College. You have to be prepared for that. If you have had these in courses that may have worked for some things here at LaGuardia, or when they transferred your credits in, these are not going to work at City College except for the courses that are part of the joint dual degree program that you did here at LaGuardia. In order to get some civil engineering courses or some engineering courses is very difficult. They are looking at you all to see whether you all do well to determine whether they keep the program. I'm talking about City College. So you are a representative not only of yourself but of LaGuardia when you go to City College. So you have to do well. And that means that you want to kind of like make sure that if you do get a space in a class, let's say civil engineering, there's not enough spaces for the students who are attending City College, and we hold off a few spaces for you to take a class, or let's say mechanical or electrical, then you want to take full advantage of that course. It's not just taking the class and then saying I'm going to withdraw or I'm going to fail. I know no one starts off like that, but if you start off on the good foundation, you will try your very best to do well, because getting even a space into a class is a priority for you all, and even our students at City College may not get those spaces. So what is the case is that joint dual degree program students, we try to keep some spaces for those students. It doesn't always work out, but for the most part it does. And the other good thing about the joint dual degree program is that your orientation, your advisement, your registration is not going to happen when your peers who are not part of the joint dual degree program is coming into City College. Instead of waiting until the semester is over and having to register in January, you will be doing all of that around November the 14th, around there. So you will be registering at the same time as City College students. So you need to take advantage of that. She's going to give you the date. She's going to tell you when to come. Make sure that you walk with your transcripts. Make sure if you did anything from another country or another school that you also walk with those transcripts and course descriptions. Make sure that you do well in those courses. If you do get those courses that normally are filled up, that you take full advantage of it. What else can we say? If you're taking the 6-week session here at LaGuardia, make sure you're not taking another course at City College that is at the same time as something you have to finish up at LaGuardia, because maybe the two semesters will overlap. So if you're planning to take a 6-week course during LaGuardia's winter intersession, you need to make sure it doesn't overlap. If you didn't finish your degree, but you're finishing in the 6-week session, you can still apply for the spring semester for City College. Don't think, well, okay, well, I'm not going to graduate until like February, so I have to wait until what? Next fall. You should be thinking about putting in your application once you're graduating at the end of this semester, which in your case might be the 6-week session, once you don't take courses that overlap. I think you had a question, and then we will conclude if there are no more questions. Hello? You had a question, right?
Yeah, the Rhodes Scholars only go to England?
Yeah, I think it's only to England. Yeah, Cambridge, Oxford, and London universities. So
just to England. Just to England.
Just to England, right?
So the transcript you mentioned before has to be official or just
unofficial? Is
unofficial for now, yeah.
So for all the schools we...
She will go through a little bit more with it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have two questions. Is the W is a problem? If you had a W and then you get A, is that
they're trying to be a little stricter, but since I'm around now, it might be a little less strict. I'm not saying it in that we will kind of like not follow the rules, but what is the case is that some of our advisors, when they look at a person's transcript, if you didn't pass a course in your first semester or something like that, sometimes they say, well, you didn't meet the requirements to get into the Grove School.
No, I'm not saying that.
W's in what sense?
W, that mean you withdraw.
No, I mean for what purpose? For admissions purposes or something else?
Family issues.
No. I'm saying, what are you asking about? How does the W affect you?
When you transfer to city, if you have a 1W or 2W,
Doesn't affect
that's
you.
not only fail.
Only if you fail, it
Yeah.
might affect you, but we also consider if the person is like, if they failed in their first semester or something like that, and then all the other grades were good, we will look at the whole thing. We're not just looking at you as a one-time static type of person. If you have improved coming close to the end and you didn't do too well in the beginning, we take that into consideration. But in general, you still have to meet the admissions criteria for the Grove School, and W's are not included in the calculation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another question.
Okay, just one sec. Yes, one more.
Is it registering in classes?
Yes.
CC is a problem? Because I heard.
I'm gonna explain that to you.
Yeah.
Give me a few minutes.
In general, what he's asking is if registration at City College is a problem. We have switched over to something known as CUNY First. How many of you all are on CUNY First already? Everybody. Okay, so you all were on CUNY First long before we were. So we switched over to CUNY First this year, and I was having to help students register for classes up until last week. And school started a month and a half ago. So yes, I understand what you're saying, if registration is a problem. It has been a problem this year because of CUNY First switching over and our school not being prepared for the switch to the extent that they should have been. It's an older school. I think we are maybe about 160 or 170 years old. But the infrastructure for computers is not as strong in terms of like they were using some of the older systems. And I think as all the CUNY schools went on onto CUNY First this year, they had some gaps in the system. Hopefully it will be better. What has been a problem is classes, whether or not you will get all of the classes that you want. We try to accommodate joint dual degree program students, and they do definitely get more than a regular transfer student, but it doesn't mean that they get every single thing that they need and exactly the exact times that they want. It always varies.
Yeah, you talked about the dual program. So as long as we graduate from this place,
This is your home, this is your alma mater. This is Fiorello H. LaGuardia Community College. He will be the first one begging and crying when he comes to any other school. I miss LaGuardia so much. Yeah.
yeah, but as we associate's degree from
We're just using you, by the way.
for the financial aid, you just automatically transfer it, right?
Well, you should apply for FAFSA every year, right? And you should put the school that you want to get financial aid from.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is that you need to come up to City College or call the financial aid number, make an appointment with an advisor there and see whether or not there is anything that you need to do. But I know our students apply every year for FAFSA because every year you have a different determination of how much you need. So are you applying only once per time at LaGuardia, or you apply every year for your financial aid?
Yeah, because I just added City College to the school. So my school is today. So
Okay.
I'm gonna start January. So I'm
Or you're saying because you already applied for this year, whether or not it will transfer
Just
across for the
yeah.
spring semester. So you should call financial aid and make an appointment with them, just to make sure. And I think Jasmine is going to give you a little brochure, and financial aid number is on it. Yeah.
I am a student here, and I just completed a computer science program, now done engineering program. I'm expected to graduate here by the end of next semester. This is the Grove School of Engineering about 2 or 3 weeks ago. However, is there an arrangement outside of the engineering program that allow you to do like a computer science program with a minor in engineering?
Okay.
And are those credits transferred from computer science department into
Computer science department here or computer science department at our school?
the program that I would complete here in the computer science department, it was programmed.
Okay, so computer science is a unique one. Your professors are trying to start a computer science joint dual degree program. It's mainly in computer engineering.
That's the objective. I came here to do computer engineering, but they did not have a computer engineering
Right.
program. So I completed computer science program and started engineering program.
Right. So what is the case is that computer engineering, they're trying to establish one, and that may or may not happen right away. It may take a little while. And then computer science is also part of the equation, but because there are so many courses in computer science that needs to be what? Evaluated and checked and aligned, it's easier for LaGuardia Community College to start a computer engineering program because we already have here at LaGuardia an electrical engineering program, and computer engineering is a combination of computer science and electrical engineering. So it would just mean maybe adding a few courses or making sure that a few of the computer science courses fall within the courses that will go into the computer engineering program. Computer science is also a program that is being considered for a joint dual degree, but it's something a little bit further removed.
I just for information, there is such an arrangement between LaGuardia and Queen's College for computer science students.
Oh, nice.
So it's the very same program for computer science. But I'm probably doing computer engineering.
Right.
So as a result, I started a computer science program to finish in electrical.
Right.
But the objective is to find out if I can do a computer engineering or computer science minor at City College. With electrical engineering.
But you're talking about getting the credits from here.
Absolutely.
So we don't have that because they're now working on trying to establish whether those computer science courses can transfer into City College. Because computer science department, we have a new chairperson, and they are going to start looking now again and seeing whether courses can transfer to City College. So BMCC, we've had big problems with them. The advisors, they tell the students that all their courses in computer science are wonderful. When they go to other places and transfer, they will get their credits, but City College don't take none. So they're like CUNY to CUNY none, but CUNY to another school, a private school, a lot. So if you're a computer science major and someone doesn't give you all of the credits and you can get the credits somewhere else, you might opt to go to the somewhere else. If Queen's College has a relationship with LaGuardia and you're getting the credits to the computer science courses that you take here to finish up your bachelor's degree in another year or two, then...
Computer science, but not computer engineering.
But not computer engineering, no. What you will get is that you could do, if you're doing the electrical engineering program here, you could transfer in as an electrical engineering major. That's what I would suggest that you do first of all. Make sure all the credits get put into the system from the joint dual degree. And then suddenly, oh, I want to do computer engineering. And then you switch to computer engineering.
But don't do that on the day of orientation.
Because you want to get all the benefits of the joint dual degree program. An electrical engineering degree program will give you, I think it's almost everything might transfer into a computer engineering program from an electrical engineering from here.
Yeah.
Almost everything. I haven't looked at it as yet, but I'm saying a lot of the math, the sciences, and all of that are courses that can go into a computer engineering program. What you will have difficulties with is those computer science courses. They may or may not be equivalent at the time that you are transferring into, and they wouldn't be able to count. I think the only thing that counts right now is the computer science 102, right?
Yeah, the program is C++.
Yeah.
And the 125 and the 101?
Well,
No,
we
it
are
does
saying
not.
it in our language, but he knows it in...
Yeah.
It's like 102.
It's
Only
like
102, 102, yeah.
It's like 102, okay.
So you have to be careful when you're talking about computer science. We had Dennis Arce, who turned out to be so bright from LaGuardia. He came to the joint dual degree program orientation that we had. He sat in the room with the other joint dual degree program students. He came up to us. He says, I'm ready to register. We said, you're not on the list. He says, but I'm from LaGuardia. Hendrik Deltram was the person who was doing it when I was directly involved with the joint dual degree program. And he says, look, I'm here. Help me, please. I want to register early. I want all my credits coming in. He was a computer science major here. We still helped him as a person, but we weren't able to help him in a joint dual degree program kind of relationship way. But he went on, him and Shiraz. Do you all remember Shiraz? Shiraz also was a student from LaGuardia. Both of them ended up being better than almost all of the students in the Grove School. Because as soon as they came across to the Grove School, they didn't just sit down there and wait for somebody to give them something. So Shiraz was in the joint dual degree program for electrical. Dennis wasn't. All of them were in the audience when they came across to our orientation. We couldn't help Dennis the way for the joint dual degree program way because he was a computer science major here at LaGuardia. We still helped him in other ways. Shiraz we were able to help, but both Dennis and Shiraz went and they joined an organization which was called the, I don't know what's the name of the company now, I think it's called Salterex. The biomedical engineering department started up their own company in the basement of the building. And they went up to the person and say, you know what? We have electrical engineering skills. We have computer skills. When our students were shy and like hiding away and they just know the book work, they went there and now they're like even like something like a partner like with the company because they started when the company started and they came from LaGuardia. Both Dennis Arce and Shiraz. But we do have minors at City College.
Well, I know, I'm looking at minors, yes.
Yeah.
I have some program.
Uh-huh.
We're in the program, right?
Yes, you are. Well, he will be able to tell you. Okay.
Are we not obligated to take the like the art classes, the creative writing classes here? Could we just skip them? Or we just think like
Whatever is part of your curriculum here at LaGuardia, including urban, do they still have urban? Everything that is in the LaGuardia curriculum you have to take, unless your advisor contact us and say they want a modification. But if you do a modification, they do have like a substitution, you wouldn't be able to graduate from LaGuardia. So you need to speak to your advisor before you make any modifications to the curriculum.
Exactly. Let me repeat this. Sometimes they show the student want to get some shortcut. The rule is clear. You graduate here and then your credit will transfer. You don't graduate and then you won't get the privileges. As simple as that.
follow-up question. We take the art classes here. We don't have to take it at community college again.
No.
We don't call them art, we call them liberal arts. So they're like psychology, art history, music appreciation, things like that. Those things make you even better than what you really are. So even though you are like, look at me. If I was doing engineering in my country, what would I be taking every single day? Physics, math, and engineering. If you want to compete with a student from Columbia University who is like really like come from the best high school and doing well and all these types of things, what is going to make you at the same level as them? Is it only going to be the math and the sciences? No, because these kids reading a lot of books, they're writing a lot of papers, they can present. Now as engineering jobs are not only located in the United States and you have to go abroad to other countries to be able to tell them what is GE's culture, what is IBM's culture. You have to be able to communicate, you have to be able to present, you have to be able to deal with a diverse group of people, which you all already know how to do. You have to be resilient and resourceful, like City College students. When someone pushes them down, they're able to what? Get right back up and keep on tracking. Or if there's a little bit of resources, what do City College students do in engineering? Make wonderful things out of it. Students from Ivy Leagues, you have to give them a lot of stuff for them to be able to what? Produce. Because they're accustomed getting a lot of stuff. But in some places like LaGuardia or City College, you have to use your own what? Ingenuity. Okay? You had a question, yeah?
You said that in the beginning, there were some issues with the civil engineering program and the curriculum.
Well, civil engineering is a very competitive program because that's one of the longest programs that we have had in terms of age-wise. A lot of the graduates that graduated from civil engineering stayed within New York City, so they have become commissioners, deputy commissioners, or have opened their own businesses. In fact, this is not a civil engineering per se, but the person who is in charge of maybe the second or third largest construction management company in the world, it used to be called Dimchen Harris, now it's called AECOM, A-E-C-O-M. Some of you all may have heard of it. That's John Dionisio. John Dionisio is a graduate of the engineering program at City College. And that's an $8 billion company. Not million, $1 billion company. And he's a graduate of our engineering program. So what is the case is that civil engineering especially, you would think all engineerings would be like this, but civil engineering especially, they are very, very particular, and you have to really be doing well to be able to make it through the curriculum. So that's what I meant with statics and mechanics of deformable bodies. If you took the mechanical engineering equivalent, which is still called statics, and in mechanical engineering it might be called solid mechanics, or mechanics of materials, it's so much different, right? Not only in terms of what they teach, but in terms of how they approach the subject matter and how important it is to the major. So civil really emphasizes that. And you know, when we went up for accreditation 6 years ago, or 5 to 6 years ago, Some of the majors, the people that came to check us were very liberal. They were very nice, they were very open, they were very accepting and stuff like that. One of the majors that gave us a lot of hell was who? Civil engineering, because the person who came to check, he wanted things this way, and he wanted this that way, and he wanted things this way. Why don't you all have this particular way? So it's not that civil engineering is a difficult major. Remember I told you all about Louis Fuenmayor, who graduated from here and did really well. He was a scholar, a NACME scholar. It's just that you have to be disciplined, and you have to have your mind set, and you have to do what you have to do to make it through the curriculum. It's just a tougher curriculum for students, but it doesn't mean it's the hardest. It just means that they put a lot of emphasis on you making it through the initial courses before you can get to build a bridge, or before you can be able to work with a subway system or things like that. You would think biomedical would be the one that is like that, because you have to deal with human health, but even our biomedical engineering kids do not get to what? Really practice as soon as they finish the bachelor's. A lot of them have to go on for master's or PhD to get their degree, a job. But civils get job right after bachelor's, to build a bridge or to design a bridge, things like that.
Just answer, you have structural engineering over there?
Structural engineering is part of the civil engineering curriculum. I'll take one more question because Jasmine has to talk.
Also, do you have like job fairs?
We do, but you all know from LaGuardia, and you all will know from City College, it's almost going to be the same. It's not that great. Okay? I'll tell you as it is, because you all are, we care about you all. So what is the case is that City College, LaGuardia, the job fairs are not going to be the most fantastic job fairs. How many of you went to LaGuardia's job fair already? And how many of you got jobs through the LaGuardia job fair? Okay? How many of you all got jobs related to your field through the LaGuardia job fair? Okay. So what is the case is LaGuardia City College, it's similar. We are called CUNY schools. So even though we do have some relationships, like my office, we have a relationship with GE. In fact, the NACME scholarship that Louis Fuenmayor got through my office, 2 weeks ago, I had to take students to the Waldorf Astoria, which is where the presidents come to when they come to New York. It's like one whole block in Manhattan. And the CEO of GE was at the event that students were able to meet with him. We do have a relationship with GE in my office, and maybe about 20 students go to do internships every year at Erie, Pennsylvania, which is called GE Transportation. Civil engineering majors, one of the very good things about it is that they can get jobs normally, because we have had students who just network with the alumni, network with people coming in, and they just get internships and jobs like that. It's a field like that. Mechanical is not like that. We have had students who did not have their papers, but were very, when I say papers, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. American papers. But they were very what? Proactive and determined. They went to places like the Society of Women Engineers Conference, where there are career fairs, even though some of them were male. They went to the Black Engineer of the Year Conference, the Latin Conference, even though they may be Egyptian or something like that. So I'm saying people go anywhere they can get a job through a career fair or a conference, and they try. And we have had students who don't have papers, or students who are foreign students who have gotten sponsored, who have gotten jobs at places like Honda, Rolls-Royce, all those places in mechanical engineering. So I'm saying, sometimes it's not when a person hands you a job. We do have career fairs. Some students get through. We do have Toyota coming there. We do have New York City Department of Transportation. We do have some other good companies coming to the career fair. But don't depend on others giving you a job. I told people last week Saturday I should say, students were like, do students get jobs at City College? Yes, but you get your job. The career fair and other options or other avenues are there to help you. But what I told them is that you are not only the person that gets a job. What you do at City College, Kaylee, who is a graduate of City College that founded a company in Manhattan, Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, called Mini Circuits. You could look up at it. It's called Mini Circuits. It's in Brooklyn. He founded it, and then he gave back millions of dollars to City College. You all know Grove, right? Andrew Grove co-founded Intel, and he gave back $26 million to City College because he graduated from chemical engineering at City College. And now the school is called the Grove School of Engineering. But we have Mini Circuits. Kaylee, he gave back a couple million. And what we have now is something called entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship if you're an American. I call it entrepreneurship, so forgive me. But I think some people say, what is it? Entrepreneurship. So, whichever way, you might say it the way I do because we are speaking the same way. But what is the case is that whichever way you call it, what it means is that you cannot only expect someone to give you a job. As an engineer, you should be the person that is creating jobs for others in the future. Otherwise, you will work for a company, but it's going to die. And what else is going to die if there are no more jobs? You. Me? I can go back to my country and some fruit punch on the beach. I'm saying, I'm already older, so I'm saying what else could die if there are no jobs around?
Engineers.
Not engineers. The United States of America. Where are the Chinese and the Indian engineers going when they get their degrees? Back home. So long ago, when I was in undergrad, all my friends were coming from China and India and those places because they came to do their PhDs. And I wasn't in the PhD program, I was an undergrad, but I'm saying that when you look around, you didn't see any professors that look like you. You might see only professors that is like coming from Asia predominantly. What happens is that even back then, 10 or 15 years ago, what did they tell me? They're going back home. And I'm like, why would you go back for less money? They say their countries are developing and they want to help their countries. Now their countries are what? Kind of developed. And what is the case is that they're not staying. And if you looked at IBM and GE and all those places, not the people that work, not the people who are the bosses, not the people who go out and do the management, but the people who are doing the technology in the background, developing new technologies. Those were a lot of the people. Now they are no longer there. So what happens there is a brain what? Drain. So if you all do not become, whether you came from China or India or Latin America or Africa or Guyana or Trinidad or whatever, I'm saying if you who are here now living in New York do not become engineers to create new jobs for others, then the American society and economy is going to what? Collapse. So you have to start not only thinking about working for a company, but you have to become the what? The company itself, to create the jobs for others in the future. One last question and then Jasmine.
Do you guys have a co-op program at
We do, but it's not a co-op program at LaGuardia because you know LaGuardia has the best co-op program in the country. Let's give LaGuardia a little... Right? So you all should always be proud of LaGuardia, but more importantly, LaGuardia has co-op integrated into its curriculum. We don't. Our students compete for co-ops and compete for internships because if I had a company and I'm hiring you, I might say, well, he's nice, he's friendly, he's presentable, professional. Let me give him a little internship. Engineering companies, do they do that? They're only taking you because they want you to see whether or not you will be good enough so that when you're ready to graduate, to hire you. They're not taking you to help you. It's not like in Germany and those places where they have apprenticeships and stuff like that. In America, if you get an internship and the company is willing to invest in that internship program, it's called early identification programs. That means that the company is benefiting more than you are, even though you'll be making more money than some of the people that work at the college. So for example, Merck might take a person and give them $900 a week as an intern and maybe give them a $5,000 fellowship. We had that relationship with them through my office. But they're not really looking at helping you. They're looking to see whether this very bright student who is like somebody that they picked up would be able to come back and work for them in the future. So some people who have graduated from City College who are vice presidents, the company says, you know what? My child can't even get an internship. I have to like ask my friend who is a president of a company to take my child, and that's how internship works in a lot of companies. Because sometimes companies are willing to invest in full-time employees in the hard economic times. Why? Because that's a long-term relationship, rather than to give some money to a co-op or an intern for what? Short-term relationship, because they want to invest in the future. So there are some internships, there are some co-ops, but it's not like LaGuardia that it's part of your curriculum. When I say I don't know if they have it as part of the engineering curriculum, but part of LaGuardia's curriculum, it's a different type of environment. You have to compete all the time. Most of our students did not want to do co-ops when they did have co-ops and the economy was good, because sometimes if you miss a semester, let's suppose you're a chemical or biomedical engineer, you miss a whole year of school. And in some of the majors, remember I told you all that you don't want to take too many credits? So sometimes the average amount of time for students to get a degree is 5 to 5.5 years. So students do not want to give up a whole semester to go away and then to come back, because they want to make sure that they have what? They graduate quicker. And secondly, some of them are working, let's say, in a store or in some other place. They don't want to give up their income and pay another rent somewhere else. They want to kind of like finish off their degree first. So we do have a program, but it's not a part of the curriculum. Okay, thank you.
I will be 100% brief. Okay, so on November 12th is our first day of registration at City College. As joint dual students, you have more preference than newer students coming in. You usually get to register 2 days after our continuing students. Your orientation / registration date will be November 14th, which is on a Friday. You want to write that down probably. Or I guess Eves will let you know by email. You will also find out through Eves if there's any issues at the end of this week or the middle of next week with your applications or something, if I'm missing something. I'm going to give you a pamphlet with my phone number. Eves also has my email and my phone number. You're more than welcome to contact me. Don't go contacting each advisor, because you need to deal with me first until you are transferred in 100% at City College. On the day of your orientation / registration, we're going to look at all your transcripts. That's why you want to bring unofficial copies. If you come from another institution outside of here, bring copies. Bring course descriptions if we need it. So we have everything we need, and we will help you as quickly as possible. You will be able to see your advisor. They're going to go over your transcripts, and then we will allow you to register in our offices, or you can go home and do it, through CUNY First. You all are aware how to use CUNY First. We are expecting no issues since we've been using CUNY First for a few months. I cannot promise you anything. I can promise you that I will try my best to help you with anything that I can, but I can't make any promises. Civil engineering students, there are courses that you're going to see that are closed. Don't worry about it, because if you have courses that you need, you're going to let me know which courses you want, what sections you want, and I will talk to the professor for civil engineering. She has a waiting list, and it's first come, first basis. You do have somewhat of a priority because you are already our students, okay? Don't panic, okay? What else can I tell you? The time, I'm not sure. I want to say 11 o'clock on Friday the 14th, is that right? The 14th, 11 o'clock. If you cannot make it, you can let me know. We can make other arrangements. The reason why it's on a Friday is because it's 2 days after our first registration date. If you can't make it, we can give you an appointment with your advisor, and you can talk to them one-on-one. Did I miss anything? I think that's it.